Good morning. I'm Dr. Laura Shackelford, and welcome to The Higher View. My guest today is Tina Marx. She's an integrative high peak performance coach who also hosts a YouTube show and podcast. It's entitled The Transparent with Tina, where she interviews entrepreneurs. She's also authored 2 books, The Domino Effect, Fear versus Faith, and Intimacy. Into you and me, I see. She has a master's degree in metaphysical counseling and has also received her Science of Mind certifications 1 and 2. And she's been practicing and studying metaphysics for the past 27 years. She's a coach. She's really amazing. And she's not here right now. I was very lucky to get her on my show. She's just finishing up on another show, and then she'll jump on as soon as she gets done. But I want to tell you in the meantime what's going on, what I have in the hoop. So next week, I've got our own Michael Kukuru, who's going to talk about change and how do we create change. And he's got a process that we're going to go through. So if you're looking to change your life and you're stuck, make sure you're there for that. And then the following week, I have Annie and Laura Meeks. And, if you're having issues with your marriage and you're thinking of throwing in the towel, I want you to hear their story and what they went through and how they're stronger than ever. And then what I'm really excited about is January the 7th. Mark your calendars. My first show of the new year, I am going to have Neale Donald Walsh. I know. He's the author of the Conversations with God books, and he is truly the one that got me on my spiritual path. I just want to tell you. So he's got a new book that's coming out. It's not even out yet. He sent me a manuscript of it, and it's called The God Solution. And I think he's going to talk about that. And I think what he's saying in this book is so powerful, so relevant to what is going on in the world, and actually give us a different way of looking at life and how we approach life. So make sure you're there for that. So let me tell you, while we have some time, how I found Neale Donald Walsh. I was in Costco one set. I was kind of started my spiritual practice, and I was in Costco and I saw Conversations with God book 2. And I looked at it, oh, it's cool. Threw it in my basket, went shopping, did my chores that Saturday. My big Saturday night, I'm laying in bed reading this book. And I got to the 2nd chapter and I literally got on my knees and started sobbing because I didn't know that anybody believed in God the way I did and what I thought about this divine power. So that started. I finished that book that night, went to Barnes and Noble's the next day on Sunday and bought book 1. And through that, I wound up going to Sedona to one of Neale's seminars, and that's how I met Neale. And I took my court reporting machine, and then I did some projects with Neale after that. So it really, and one of his staff members, I went to a Sunday service with Neale, and one of his staff members after the service, I said, oh my God, I wish they have churches that teach these principles. I said, I wish I had a church where I live. And the guy said, where do you live? And I said, Palm Desert. And he said, I used to live in Palm Desert. You have one of the best teachers. And that's Dr. Tom Costa. I went there the following Sunday and I've never left. And that was back in the 90s. So I'm so excited to have Neale. I thought I'd reach out. I didn't think he would do it, but he said yes. So please be there for that. So I want to tell you a little bit too about what I want to talk with Tina about today. Is she also has on YouTube some YouTubes about the domino effect, and I thought that was really good because as we're teaching. In her book, she says thoughts affect emotions. And what we teach in our practitioner class, and we had just talked about that the other day, is that beliefs create our thoughts, that create our feelings, that create our emotions, and that's what manifests. So you really have to get down to those beliefs if you want to change your mind. So anyway, Thank you, Megan. That's very sweet of you. I appreciate that. Wish you were here. Wish Tina was here, but I'm sure she'll be here shortly. Um, I the thing with Michael next week. Michael and I were talking and playing. It is going to be so much fun. Michael has such a creative mind, such a deep person, and he's got a really interesting story. And so I like, on my show, what I like to do is I like to go to people, their past, because their past is what triggers them into where they are now. And so I just want to say, if you are going through what we call the dark night of the soul, know that that's a wake-up call, that spirit is calling you to that higher view, to that higher level of who you are. And so look at it as, okay, what is it I truly want to do? And the only thing that's keeping us from doing everything we want to do is that we really truly don't believe that we are connected to spirit, that we are spirit. We think it's some airy-fairy thing and that it's unapproachable. But the fact of the matter is you are that divine spirit. And when you really believe it and you really know it, things will change in your life that you won't believe. You'll take chances, you'll get ideas, and they'll happen. And speak of our wonderful guest right now, Tina, welcome. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Except my green screen's green.
Oh, well, you look great in green.
I'm just okay. Well,
anyway, I was just telling them about you and just telling them that on my show, what I like to do is I like to talk about people's past, because it's those dark nights of the soul that propel us forward. This is the universe calling to us. And what I didn't share with them is that your mom, you used to come to the center. Your mom studied with Dr. Tom. And did you get your CSL, your Science of Mind certificates in Palm Desert, or how did you get those?
I got Science of Mind 1 and 2 in the Palm Desert one. So did my mom when Dr. Tom was there. So, she raised me since I was raised Protestant, but it was always very spiritual based. And then once she got into that just kind of took over my life, and honestly saved my life in so many ways. This practice has just completely shifted my life.
And then you went on to you've got a master's in metaphysical, metaphysical science, or what do they call it?
Metaphysical counseling. Yeah. And so I got my master's through University of, it used to be called University of Metaphysics. Now it's called University of Sedona, and it was online. And I got my practitioners, and then, I went on to get my master's, and I actually am looking to get my doctorate too.
Good for you, Tina. I was sharing, I watched a couple of your podcasts. You have some really interesting people. And I'm very jealous about you being verified on Instagram. I didn't even realize you talked to me offline about that. And that's a big deal.
I'm not verified yet. I'm in the process of getting verified. And to get verified, there's a couple different ways you can do it. And to be published in magazines is one of them, and like Yahoo Finance, I think there's 4 of them right now, and I think I have 4 more to go to get verified.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So let's go back now, and then we're going to work our way now to where you are now, and then we'll go to what you see in the future. So I really related to your story because you had your mother obviously was very spiritual, very loving, but your dad wasn't so much.
Mm-hmm.
That caused issues, and I could relate to that.
Yeah. And it's interesting, when I was writing my first book, I think everybody can relate to that. It's, we have the 2 minds. We have the ego mind, or the subconscious mind, and the conscious mind. And that's what my first book is called, The Domino Effect. Yes. Fear versus faith. So we're always operating from one of 2 mindsets, fear or faith, right? And so when I was writing my book and I was writing about my father was the fear. Nothing was ever good enough. And then my mom was, oh, you're so talented in so many things. You can do anything you want. So right there is the two messages, is the two mindsets, that we all have to deal with every single day. But
so can I stop you right there with that? I have a question to ask you.
Sure.
Because I had the same thing. Exactly. If you had all A's in your report card and you had one B, nothing about the A's. It was just, why were you slacking there?
Yeah.
So, and then you had the mother that just, oh, you can't do anything wrong. But I don't know about you, but I believe my dad. I thought my mom, forget it. She just, everything, I can't do anything wrong. My dad, and always trying to please and win over.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that a lot of the reason that is because society, the older we get, you're surrounded by that, right? You're surrounded by people that are, self-limiting beliefs, and you can't do it. So you're hearing that think about when you're a child, okay? Any child is very joyful. They use their imaginations. They're very secure. Ask any child what they want to do when they get older. They have an answer for you. Okay. You ask an adult the same thing and they're like, I don't know, because those dreams have been smashed. I call them dream smashers in my book. I mean, and I also talk about, be very, very careful of who you share your dreams with, because if people have not realized their own dreams, they're not able to support yours.
Boy, that's the truth.
Yeah. So I think that is the reason, whether it was the opposite, whether my mom was that way or my dad was that way. I think we have a tendency to lean towards our unworthiness or feel like we're unworthy. And I have found, for me, the only way out of that is to put and surrender completely to God.
Right.
And it was funny. I was journaling this morning and I had heard this a long time ago. A friend of mine had said this. He said, Tina, God is everything or God is nothing. And it took me years to figure that out, and it's so true because, we all like to say we believe in God. And most of us, it's very easy to do when everything is going our way. And then when everything doesn't appear, and I say appear because it's always going our way.
Right.
If it's challenging and it can be traumatic, it's always, there for our learning to move forward in our life. And I also actually believe that we bring those circumstances to us. A lot of people say, I wouldn't bring illness to me or whatever. And think again, because you are bringing that to yourself,
Well, and that's another thing. So I understand you were a cancer survivor. Now, so let's jump a little bit further. When did that come about in your life? And looking back now, why do you think you manifested that?
Okay. So I was diagnosed with cancer in 2011. I was just gotten finished with my book. I had gotten it back from my editor. I was about to release it. And then I said, I need to share this story. And I remember looking out the window. I was on the phone. My doctor had called and I was looking out the window and he gave me the news. And I remember never feeling, why me? I didn't feel that. I just felt sadness. And, I look back and everything is in divine order. If I had not just completed this book about faith and I was completely saturated in my faith at the time, I might have made different choices. Meaning my doctor highly recommended that I do radiation and then follow up with a drug called tamoxifen for the next 5 years to make sure that the cancer didn't return. So if I was in a fear-based mindset, I would have done exactly what the doctor told me to do, which most people do. Okay. And I wasn't. I was so connected to my intuition, which I believe is just a whisper of God, and it didn't resonate with me. So I started, I started putting it out to the universe. This doesn't feel like the right answer to me. And immediately 3 books they came to me. And one was Dr. Gundry's book, The Diet Evolution. One was Dr. Robert O. Young's book, The pH Miracle, which is, all about alkalinity. And then the other one was Suzanne Summers' book. And so I was really drawn towards the alkalinity. It resonated with me. It made sense with me. And so I went on that, didn't do the radiation, didn't do the tamoxifen. And everybody thought I was crazy, Right. And it was the right choice because I've been cancer-free now since 2011 without doing that and poisoning my body. So
Wow.
if I was in fear, I would have done what the doctor said. And, it brought me in a whole nother path of holistic. And then also to answer your question, why did that happen to me? Because I felt like it was a blessing. And a lot of people, you got cancer, that was a blessing. It made me look at my life and according to the alkalinity. So your body is either alkaline or it's acidic. And if it's too acidic, it's a breeding ground for disease.
Oh, wow.
And then you have to look at why is your body acidic? And the checkbox, I was doing all of it. Under eating, over exercising, stress. Okay.
Right.
My son's father was since I left him when my son was 5.5 months old, he just was a thorn in my side. I'd let him get to me all the time. And, I'd just be resistant. And, if something would happen, I'd hold on to it for days, weeks, months, which just caused so much stress on my central nervous system. So I had a choice to make going forward. If I keep doing this, the cancer is going to come back or something else is going to come back. So it was a big wake up call. I survived it and I made different choices. And I tell people that have cancer all the time, you just don't cut it out. Okay. You can cut it out, but if you don't want it to come back, you've got to make different choices and you got to go, why did it come to begin with? It's your body's way of going, hey, I'm out of alignment here.
Right. Wake up.
Pay attention. Pay attention.
Mm-hmm. Pay attention. Oh, wow. All right. So you got through that. You got through the divorce, obviously. How old is your son?
He's going to be 17 in February.
Well,
yeah.
I just have to ask you because I remember I have sons. I think boys are the best.
Yeah.
Personally. I think they're the best.
And it's funny because I thought I was going to have a girl and I was really depressed when I found out I was going to have a boy. But I'm, again, God, the universe always knows what's best for you. I think I'm much better with a boy than I would have been with a girl. So, yeah.
Me too. My sister had the daughters. I had the two sons. She has two daughters. And I look at what she went through with the girl. And I go, no.
Well, I think the boys are harder in the beginning because they're so active.
Yes.
But then it switches. And because I was an older mom, I had my son when I was 41. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I was glad I already took my medicine when he was younger. And then he became easier. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And they're so easy, like clothes, jeans, whatever. It doesn't matter. Girls. Oh, my son he has two daughters and I said, oh, honey, you better make lots of money.
Lots of money. And then the hormone, he's going
through the hormones are worse. Boys get into fights and with their friends and next minute they're out shooting hoops again.
Exactly.
Girls, no, it's not like that.
Yeah. And if it was my daughter, because I am so emotional and it's like, one thing I am constantly working on is letting go, right? Letting go of things, like I was saying with my son's father or just, because I feel things, my mom used to say, you feel things so deeply, which I do. So I'm really practicing on just being kind of like, water off a duck's back kind of thing. And just knowing everything is working in my highest good.
Right. So how did you get it? So for school, for your doctorate and whatever, and your master's, did you have to write a book? Was that part of it? Or what caused you to write the book? What drew you to that?
It's funny. I didn't even know I was writing a book. I had gotten into the practice of journaling. So I really just thought I was journaling. And then when I got into it, I was like, I started organizing. I said, maybe this could be something to help other people. The book took me 8 years to write. 8 years to write and it was that voice inside my head because I was like, I'd start to write and then it would be like, well, who are you to write? You didn't graduate college. You don't have a degree. What are you saying that somebody else hasn't said? So I'd put it down. And then the little voice inside of me would come back up and say, but you have something to share that I think could help other. So that's why it took me the back and forth for 8 years. But I'm so grateful that I achieved it. And just so you can, just to illustrate how your intentions work. The second book, I said, you know what? I've got to have this out in 4 months.
Wow.
And I wrote it and it was out in 4 months. So, whatever you declare, as you know,
You
and your
know,
intentions, I tell my clients, there's no wishing and hoping, it's strong intention plus action will bring you results.
right,
You can have a strong intention, but if you don't take the action, which is the hardest part, let's be honest, because, you have to move through the fear. If you're
right.
not
Yeah,
uncomfortable, you're not growing.
it's that fear of failure that we're so
Or
caught.
fear of success.
Really, you think there's a fear of
Oh, I
success?
know that it was for me, because if you think about it, I have very, very big dreams, and it didn't become conscious for me for a long time. I'm going, well, how could I be fearful of success? Well, any successful person, you've got to really put yourself out there. You've got to be in a lot of action, especially if you have
Yeah,
big dreams like
that's
me.
true.
And that takes you out of your comfort zone. There was a
Right,
part of me that was very comfortable living my safe little life, but
right.
so that's what mine was, the fear of success and what the action would entail to become successful.
Right. So I didn't get through the whole book. What is that resurface? You talk about the resurface in your domino effect. What
Mhm.
is that?
Well, it's an acronym. So every principle starts with a letter. So, the first one is
Oh,
recognize the truth,
oh,
and so it's an acronym for that. And the reason why I chose resurface is because it's all there within us. Like I said, when we're born, we come straight from source. So we are very assured, and we know we're connected. It's that disconnect that happens. So it's like resurface back into your life. It's like peeling back the layers of the onion to get back to your true nature, which is your authentic, all-knowing self.
right, right. Well, that's good. So, when we teach practitioner class, we really talk about how we have those beliefs in our subconscious mind that are really running the show.
Mhm.
And it's like, do you have any methods of like, how do you get to those?
Oh,
How do
yeah.
you decipher those? You know?
Yeah, I share this. I am not that person that wakes up and singing and, oh, it's a beautiful day, and bounce out of bed. No, I have to get there most days. Okay, because most days, and I think it's because I've experienced a lot of trauma in my life, and I was just talking about this the other day. I'm really starting to put this together because I'm going, why? I mean, is this that hard for everybody else when they get up? Because you know what? I feel so blessed when I look around at my life that, especially going through this COVID and people that are losing their jobs and people that
Oh,
are sick or losing family members. And, it compounded it because I'd be like, I'm so blessed. And I not feeling grateful when I get up in the morning. And, so it made me feel like now I'm a spoiled brat, right? So, again, and I think the reason was because it's my body's way of trying to protect me. Like, oh, it's scary out there because I've been through a lot of trauma. So it's
oh,
affected my central nervous system. So it is what it is, and it might be like that my whole life. So first thing that I do when I wake up is, I stretch, I set my intention, I say, how can I best serve today? And
wow.
then there's a prayer actually that I got. I think it's from Course in Miracles that Gabby Bernstein shared, and it's what do I see? Where do I go? Where do I go? What do I do? What do I say? And to whom? Okay,
Wow.
so I do that, and then I get up and I go, into the kitchen. I take my lemon water, which flushes the organs because it's mind, body, and spirit. You can't
Mhm,
neglect three. It's like a three-legged stool. I take
mhm.
that. Get my bulletproof coffee. Go back into my room. I used to get up like at the last minute. Now I give myself an hour and a half to really connect with myself and set myself up for my day. So I journal. 3 pages is like for me the magic number. I had taken a course when I was 35 years old. It's called The Artist's Way, and I actually
Mm,
think that it's a prerequisite in most colleges now. So one of the things it says 3 pages is the magic number, and then immediately I go into my affirmations, and then I do my gratitude. So for me, what it is talking about the subconscious mind,
mhm.
you don't realize how many thoughts you have when you wake up. Okay, you know. We have about the average person has about 55,000 thoughts that go through your mind every single day. 85% of them are negative self-limiting belief thoughts. So the
Right.
journaling actually allows your subconscious mind to be heard. Because from what I heard and what I've experienced, the only time it really has a chance to talk is through journaling or in your dreams. I'm really getting into that too. Pay attention to your dreams. So I dump everything out. I don't judge it. I just let the pen to paper, and whatever comes out, it comes out. It's like clearing the canvas, right? And then I immediately go into my affirmation. So it's like letting the negative beliefs out on the paper, clearing the canvas, and now inputting what I want to realize in my life and how I want
Affirmations and
changes. And then you top it off with the gratitude. If the more you are grateful for, the more you have to be grateful for. And whoever's listening, I mean, this is proven science. It's not a religion. It is proven. Quantum physics proves it. And what I love about this show is that more people that I get, and even the more successful people, they all know this. It's like, of course,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to ask you something because I watched your podcast yesterday with Brian Breach, was it?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And you guys talked about dreams. So I know I dream at night. I get glimpses, but I really have a hard time as soon as I wake up recalling what the dream was.
You should probably get up, even though you don't want to. If
But
it's
I'm
really strong, and get up and write it down. Okay.
okay.
I had 2 awakenings. Like last night, it was just so clear, like 2 a.m, because I have been trying to have so many decisions to make, and there's so many avenues I could go to push my business forward. I'm like, do I do this first? Do I do that first? Do I hire this person? And it came in loud and clear. It was just one singular thing: branding. That's what I need to focus on right now.
Right.
And then what's under that umbrella? How do I want to show up in the world? How do I want people to see me? I mean, I want them to see my passions, what I feel like I'm good at, what I think I'm, and so I got my answer. During the day when everything is so busy, it's hard for you to quiet your mind enough for it to come through. So for me, because I'm not religious about meditating, and I tell all my clients to do it. And I did do it yesterday, so maybe that was the reason. But yeah, you get a lot of clarity through your dreams.
Yeah. Because I wake up and I go, I know that was a great dream. What was it? I cannot remember what that was. I know I've shared this before. I don't know if you've had this. I was going through like a dark time in my life, and I literally was in bed and I heard this voice go, Laura, it's not that we don't give you what you want. You're just wanting the wrong things. I mean, I literally sat up in my bed and I looked around my room because that's how loud it was. It was like, I think my soul was frustrated, or my higher self was like, what else do we have to do to show you that we're there?
Exactly. And I'm so glad that you brought up that point. I'm rereading the book, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. And I'm on the 7th one, and it's about detachment and not being attached to the outcome. You put and declare your intention, but don't be attached to how it shows up. Because if you're attached to how it shows up, you don't feel like you've realized it or manifested it. You have to just be open that the universe knows what the answer is for you.
That's funny because I always said, if I write a book, my book title will be "Thank You, God, for Being Smarter Than Me."
Oh, I like that. That's great. So you're thinking about writing a book?
Well, I thought I need to sit down and really do it. But here's why. Because I never we talked about sons. I was 31. I never wanted to have children. And I got pregnant, and I wasn't going to have an abortion. I told my husband, I said, well, let's keep it. They say they love them. I said, what are they going to say? They're stuck with them for 18 years. I was a businesswoman. I didn't see how. And when my son was born and they put him in my arms, I started sobbing. And I said, thank you, God, for being smarter than me, because I know that's probably the highest, best thing that ever happened in my life.
I have kind of a similar story too. Yeah. If it's meant to be for you, you can fight it all you want. But, when I do my gratitude list, it's always God, my angels, guides, and then my son is the next thing.
Yeah.
For what I'm grateful for. Yeah.
We have a question here from Megan. I have to admit, I'm not a really good meditator, too.
Mhm.
Speaking of meditating, I just can't do it. My mind is all over the place. I'm a chronic overthinker. So trying to clear my mind and focus on my breathing is something I struggle with. Any tips?
Yeah, Megan, you need it more than you think you need. That's exactly why you need it. Okay. And so I do have a suggestion because I'm the same way, Megan. And if it's just me saying I'm going to sit and be quiet for 10 minutes, I probably won't do it. So there's a lot of guided meditations, which makes it a lot easier. And that I will do. There's a app that I use. It's called Insight Timer. And you can choose there are guided meditations. You can choose for how long, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. I mean, I took transcendental meditation course and, their recommendations is 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes at night. Haven't achieved that yet, but, I can do it for 10 minutes on a guided meditation. And if I do that once a day, just do your best and you will see results in your life. And if your mind is that busy talking, then you're not going to have the access to your higher wisdom, your intuition, if your mind is too loud.
Right. Yeah, and it is amazing when you do it, and then you get like a message sometimes. I know I did. I was meditating. I was going to be doing a book study. I like to do book studies, and I'm like, I don't know what book to do. And I meditated, and this book came to me that is on my shelf that I hadn't read in about 10 years. I don't know.
Mhm.
It came to me, and I said, okay. And I did the book study on that. And it was like the book was being written for us now with what's going on with COVID and everything. And so from a spiritual aspect, I feel that there are no accidents in the universe.
Mhm.
Everything, even as, our parents, I believe we chose them.
Absolutely.
Don't you think so?
I do. Yeah, it's funny. I have a funny story because my brother who passed away when I was 9, my mom told me the story because she said, "Well, you chose me." And he says, "Well, I think I made a mistake." It's funny. But I do. I mean, for the longest time I'd say, "Well, why would I choose my dad?" But when I looked at what the attributes that I got from my dad,
Yeah.
okay, I have a lot of self-discipline. Okay. If I'd had two of my mother's personalities, I could have been really lazy, and that's where I got a lot of my drive and my determination is from my father's side. So yes, I do. I think the combination, but I've got the softness and I've got, the compassion for other people and everything from my mom. So I look back and I go, yeah. And I'm really, really happy that I have both of them.
Yeah, no, and it's like too with me with my father. I look back and I also understood because my father just wasn't affectionate. I remember my uncle came over who was a teacher, and I remember sitting on his lap because he'd read books with me when I was little. My dad would never do that.
Hmm.
I said, I called him Unky. I wish you were my daddy, and he handled it very well and said, no, your dad loves you. And yet I knew he loved me. He just couldn't show affection.
Mhm.
And then when you learned his history, he was from Hawaii. His dad never even talked to them. They'd be passing on the street in Maui, and his dad wouldn't even acknowledge him. So my dad didn't know how to do affection.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
was the first one, and so I look back, and so you understand that. But just like you were saying, it's like they would do things or say things, and I'd go, boy, when I have kids, I'm not going to say that to them.
Yeah.
You and you either learn from it and implement it, and so I think everything works out perfectly.
I think you got to realize that, whether it looks like it or not, everybody is trying to do their best.
And
Everybody, if they could do better, they would, they would. And as a child, I felt like, what is wrong with me that my dad doesn't love me? Because I really felt like he hated me, the way he'd look at me and everything else. And again, like you just said, I didn't have the capability as a child to go, what are his struggles? Maybe he experienced that, and so that I will be honest has affected my relationship with men my whole life. And, I just had another aha moment, that I've always been like, I'm getting out first, you know. If I see any kind of inclination, I'm leaving first. And I realized that's because it's my fear of rejection. I had so much rejection in my mind from my father
Right.
and it's like, I'm now at this point in my life that I feel like, I can let that go. It doesn't serve me anymore.
Right.
If I want to be in a loving relationship, a little sign of rejection or what I'm interpreting, because it probably isn't even rejection, but it's my old wounds and my triggers showing up,
Yeah. Yeah, I know in business it affected me because that's why I'm a court reporter. I started the first court reporting agency here in the desert. And one of the reasons I did that was because I got tired of men telling me what to do and devaluing me. And I
Mhm.
said, I'm going to have my own business and I'm going to treat my employees the way I would want to be treated,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that motivated me.
Yeah.
To do what I did, and so some point you got to let go of that, but
Yeah,
you
yeah, you do, and you know what? When you move forward, and what doesn't serve you anymore, find a way to let it go. There's an amazing book that I just started. I just interviewed Evan Carmichael, and I don't know if you know who he is, but you should follow him on Instagram.
okay.
He's got like 2 million followers on his YouTube show. He interviews Tony Robbins, Dean Gracioso, Grant Cardone. I mean, you name it. And this is his fourth book, I believe, and it's called Built to Serve, which I love the title. And
Oh,
when I was interviewing him last week, I just started and I said, the first 2 minutes, I mean, I was hooked into this book. And anybody that's looking for their purpose in life, this is the book for you, because he asks
oh,
you these questions, and if you've already found your purpose, you go, oh, that's how I found my purpose. It's a formula that he has put together that I think is amazing, because I think one of the biggest pains for people is not not finding their purpose and fulfilling their purpose. I think that's where most of the pain, I know that was for me,
right.
and going, what, because then it's like life, if you don't find your purpose, it almost doesn't even seem like it makes sense to be here.
Oh, isn't that the truth? You just feel like you're doing your day, your 9 to 5 or whatever. There's
Mhm.
no joy in it. The joy is when you can do it all day and all night. And you go, I really need to get to sleep. I need to
Yeah.
put this down, right?
Yeah, they
And
say when you find your purpose, you'll never work another day in your life, and it's true, and I think the one beauty of the whole COVID thing, that if you're not taking advantage of this, I think you're missing the boat, and that is, I really believe that this was a message from the universe for all of
oh,
us to take a step back, reflect, look at our values, look at where we are in our life. I mean, it's a forced stop is what, to,
right. It's
and
like mom say, go, you've got 5 timeout, go to the corner,
yeah,
right?
exactly. But if you're going to complain about it and everything that it's causing that you can't do or whatever, I mean, I think we've gotten so far in this busyness in our lives that I think the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, was like, no, I got to turn this boat around. And honestly, that's my interpretation of why this pandemic has happened. And I think you can either take it and really and grab onto it and really change your life for the better, or you can complain about it, and continue to complain, and that's not gonna get you anywhere except
Exactly.
misery.
Yeah, this is an opportunity for us to quiet down, maybe do some
I
meditation.
was gonna that Yeah, there you go, Megan.
Maybe do some meditation and really figure out, why am I here? Because I do believe we all came here for a divine purpose. And really, all that divine purpose is to be that love and that light in the world. But how do you show up as that love and that light, and what is yours to do? Because we each, I always tell people, you've got your people that are, the tree huggers, or the ones that are really environmentally, they're passionate about that, but that's their purpose. That might not be my purpose,
Absolutely.
and thank God we have people that do that there's something in their soul that says, this is important, you need to take care of this.
Mhm,
We have, Jenny Wiseman at our center, who's really involved in a pet ministry.
mhm.
That is her purpose.
Yeah,
So we all have something within our soul, something we came here to do. And I always tell people, there are no accidents, that each and every one of us are here during COVID.
mhm,
I believe we signed up for it to help evolve our consciousness to really help us be in touch with who we truly are and our connection to spirit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We all have gifts to bring forward. I mean, if you look at it this way, how many millions of people or billions of people there are in the world? No two people, unless, you're identical twins, no two people look alike. I mean,
No.
that in itself is crazy. So if no two people look alike physically, we're all wired differently. We all have different gifts to bring forward, and there's more than enough of the piece of the pie. I mean, I think that's where a lot of the fear comes in. It's like, oh, if this person gets something, then there's less for me. And, there's just unlimited abundance, as you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I always tell people too, it's interesting. I don't know if you've encountered this, but people can be growing siblings in the same family and have a different perspective of what their life was.
Mhm.
Their parents being crazy, or no, they were fabulous. What do you? And I think, and that we see that just in our world, don't we?
Mhm.
We're living different people are living in different realities. And the problem is that we judge and condemn people for their different reality.
Mhm, mhm. Well, I'll take it a step further. You can go to a dinner party and you could all be hearing the same conversation. You and your husband could go home that night and you've gotten, that's not what he said. Or that's not what she said. And, it's your interpretation, right?
Right.
So, yeah, everybody's filter is different. And that all is based on, how we grew up and where, our triggers are, where our passions are, where our interests are. So we need to embrace that and strengthen those and also strengthen our weaknesses. I mean, the point is, what I used to do, and I don't do it anymore, is and I think a lot of people do this, is like embrace the stuff that I like about myself. And then I would just turn my back on my flaws. Okay. And now I'm embracing them, going, they're there to be healed. That's why they're there. They're not there to be ignored. The more you ignore them, the bigger they're going to get. It's just like whatever you resist will persist.
Right. Exactly. So how did you get into your podcasts and what drew you to this?
Well, I started, it's interesting. Okay. So I was life coaching years and years and years ago. And, I remember thinking to myself, I want to reach more people. There's only so many hours in a day.
Right.
And like right now I have about 47 clients and, I'm back to back to back. And again, I'm like, that's great that I can make a great impact on these people's lives, but I want to reach the masses and I want to bring this information forward to people at no cost, where you can just tune in and get information and feel like you're not so alone. And hopefully something that I've said or one of my guests has said you'll identify with and resonate with, and it will prompt you to take that first step or the next step or whatever it is. So, and what's interesting is, my mom was a dancer and she was a model and she was on Broadway. And I remember when I was little, we used to watch the beauty pageants. She'd like, you need to do that. And I had no desire to be in front of a camera at all. I mean, all I wanted to do was hide. I was afraid. And I realized this was a calling. So it was probably 10 years ago, I started a local show and I had 3 different local shows down here in the desert. And, I share this with a lot. I went through all my money and, I went, okay, that was a big mistake. And, then, it was before the pandemic because we started this last December, and through Zoom. And I thought, well, this is a way, and I could have guests that weren't just local because I was limited to local guests. Now I can interview anybody. So that it was just an extension. This is not a new thing for me, but it's like, talk about perfection. And it's like, now I'm really getting like amazing guests on the show that it even surprises me that they're saying yes, to be honest. I'm going, why are but this didn't happen overnight. I kept perfecting my craft and kept at it. And, when it's on your heart, when it's really something that you need to bring forward, it just doesn't go away, because I put it on the shelf many times. And that last time when I ran through my money, I just thought it was really over. I thought, well, pick something else. But you know what? God's always coming back going, nope, I know this is what I am meant to do. And so that's why I have the YouTube show and the podcast.
So don't you think too, with COVID, because people are so searching for ideas and things to do, that this is a great time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I know our platforms that we have all during the week, it just helps people to feel connected. And what I'm hoping is, in knowing, I didn't want to hope, I just know that there's somebody out there that's going to be listening to this and going, I'm going to get that book, or I'm, and change my life. I'm ready.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's just taking that step and doing it. I started reading, you talked about A Course in Miracles. Before I ever started, I was just starting my spiritual journey. I bought that because I listened to Marianne Williamson, and I thought, okay, I did not even understand. I mean, I would read. What? And
there's one for dummies too. I think that's a better, because it's tough reading the original one. Yeah.
So I just got Alan Cohen's book about making it easy and stuff. And it's really cute because he's got all kinds of little stories in it. And then when I moved, I got rid of my Course in Miracle books. Now I'm thinking, gosh, I need to go get one again just so I can go back and refer. But Course in Miracles for Dummies, because there's some beautiful truths in there that are so powerful.
You know what I just listened to again, and this is interesting because I don't know if this ever happened to you. I got a book and I started reading and going, this isn't for me. And so I was in my garage and I picked it. I said, I was led to the book, and it was one of those books that I put down and went, and this was years and years ago, and it was Marianne Williamson's A Return to Love. And I read it this time, and oh my God, it was like right between the eyes. I'm like, well, how did I not think? Well, I wasn't ready yet at that point. So that's a really good one. That one is, I would recommend anybody who wants to, that's a great book to get introduced to, A Course in Miracles.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, cause that was it. I kept back in I guess it'd be the late 80s, before my sons were well, maybe early 80s, but I would hear the cassettes. My brother's girlfriend gave me these cassettes of her, and I go, oh my God, she's amazing. And she's an amazing speaker. If you ever, she came to our center one time, and it was packed. And boy, when she gets up there, spirit just flows through her.
You know what, Laura, I'm so glad that you said that, because I think I was about 21. First time somebody took me, I was in Los Angeles and she was speaking, and I was in awe. And I remember thinking to myself, she had no monitor, it was like she was being channeled, because I'm thinking, who could possibly remember an hour and a half worth of material? It was just seamless. It was, and that was a major turning point in my life in regards to spirituality and like really understanding how this works.
Yeah. Well, I'll share with you. I shared with them before I got Neil Donald Walsh is going to be on my show January 7th.
Oh, fantastic. All right.
But Neil was, like I said, Conversation with God is the book that woke me up I didn't know people I thought the way I thought was crazy until I read Conversations with God. So I actually did work with Neil. I got to go to Hawaii with Neil and Marianne Williamson. I was reporting stuff that they were talking about, and it was like I thought I died and gone to heaven. And so I thought, I'm just going to reach out to Neil. He probably doesn't even remember me. And so he's going to be on my show on January 7th. I'm like,
oh, I'll be sure to watch it. Fantastic. How exciting.
Yeah. And
wasn't there 3 books? I mean, I saw a movie that came out, the movie that was made into a movie too. I remember that.
Right. Well, he's written a ton of books and stuff, but he wrote 3 of the Conversations with God.
That's right. Yeah.
And then when he was writing Friendship, he said, Laura, come up to Ashland, and he was going to dictate it to me. And then because he had to get it out right away. And I was going to write it and then go and transcribe it. And then I was going to get a percentage of the books. And I went, woohoo, and we went up there and he did the first chapter. And, that night, and I typed it up, and then I came back down, and he later went that night and went and wrote it by hand, journaling it. So much better. than him just talking about it.
Yeah.
I said, no, Neil, you got to do it that way.
No, I've heard that too. And that's why when I write, I don't do it. They say, it just flows better from here to your heart, right out of your hand. I mean, I think there is something to be said about that.
Yeah. And maybe he even typed it, but just to dictate it to me, what he was thinking, it was not the same as putting the hands and letting it flow. I don't know if he typed it or if he actually hand wrote it and then typed it. But yeah, so I'm really, really excited about that. And but it's the same thing. The way they can people in the audience would ask some questions, and it's just like this download, of things. And I'm sure I know I experience that when I do talks sometimes on Sunday, people will say something, oh, that was so good when you said that. And I go, I don't even remember saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. That you're being channeled. Yeah, absolutely. Right.
So Tina, because we're almost out of time, tell people how they can get to. So you're not doing coaching, or you're still doing coaching?
Oh, I'm doing coaching.
Okay.
That's why I was 5 minutes late. So I had 3 people back to back, and I apologize for being late. But I had to take a look at it.
Do you do Zoom and have multiple people? You can do it that way, right? Instead of or do you do it one-on-one or both?
I do it one-on-one. Yeah, I don't do group coaching at this point, but that is a possibility. That way I could reach more people. So I am looking into that. Yeah.
I think that would be good. And then you can always, with Zoom, you can go into chat rooms if you need some little one-on-one time while other ones are working on stuff.
I like it. Maybe I'll get with you and you can help me design this.
Tell them how they can get a hold of you, and make sure though you watch her show. Yeah,
it's Tina Marx TV. It's my YouTube channel is Tina Marx TV. And then my podcast is Transparent with Tina. And you can find it on pretty much every single platform. It's the show it's just the audio. So if you are more of a visual person, you'll go to my YouTube channel and watch the videos. And if you like to, listen to something while you're walking and you don't have to watch it, then you could go to my podcast. The best way to get a hold of me is probably through email, which is Tina Marx with an X, MARX TV @gmail.com.
Well, they have up here, they had some Gmail address, the Domino Effect. Is that no longer?
Oh, I have 2 of them. So okay. I just think the other one's easier to remember. You can either one. I read, right. And I don't know why I have 3.
Right.
That's another thing on the list to try and incorporate them all into one. But yeah, the Domino Effect Coach 7 is number 7 @gmail.com, right. Or Tina Marx TV @gmail.com. Either one.
Right.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear from anybody.
So how is your son? I started to ask you because when my sons were 17, there is no way they would have been social distancing or not being with their friends. I mean, I don't know what I would have done during this with my boys. How's your son doing this?
He's he has 2 best friends. It's like the 3 amigos, and so he has a girlfriend now. Oh. So that's it. He's not going to parties or anything else, And I think I had this debate. I want to call it a debate with my brother last night because he's very much in his head. And, I think we do the best that we can do. I mean, I'm quarantined all the time. I work from home. I mean, I probably never leave the house, but, he just left today actually to go on a 2-week trip across the country with his father to go see his grandparents. So, it's going to be what it's going to be. I'm a firm believer that, you do the best you can. And if it's your time to go, it's your time to go. I mean, I don't feel that way. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It can be almost more damaging if there's no social action at all. That can lead to depression and a lot of other things.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you get to do these fabulous shows with people all the time. You have great guests, and make sure you watch it. I watched one of your older ones, The Domino Effect, with the dentist.
Dr. Phil.
Oh, that was really interesting.
He's amazing. You know what? He just Suzanne Summers just wrote about him in her book. I guess she feels like he's responsible for saving her husband's life. So he's amazing. He's right here. He's got 3 offices. The one in Indian Wells, the Smile Center.
Right by the
there's not a lot of people that does what he does, and he a lot of NFL players. Yeah, he's great.
So did he do anything for you? It was really interesting how he had you bite that thing and
gave me the mouth guard. And to be honest with you, it's sitting somewhere. Not disciplined enough to leave it in my mouth. But, I guess if it starts, if I start, but the testimonials, as you saw, he had
Oh,
people that were in chronic pain for 30 years, and you would never attribute it to,
your teeth.
jaw alignment. Yeah. But, I
Mhm.
don't know if you've heard this, Laura, but your teeth are like the map to your health. If you don't have good dental health, it's usually identifying another problem in your body.
Well, I remember that's one thing my dad did say to me. He said, Laura, you know what you can have for you the rest of your life if you take good care of it are your
Teeth.
teeth. And my
Mhm.
dad had false teeth. And so he was trying to warn me, you don't want this,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't. And so anyway, yeah, it is. But I thought, oh, I never even thought of that until I watched your show. So Tina's got some great shows on there, very informative. The great one on the transcendental meditation for our
Oh,
friend.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, Megan, you should watch that one because it tells all the benefits of it. From blood pressure to,
Yeah,
that one has, gosh, that one has about 250,000 views. That was done years ago, but that one's a really good one too.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're getting even prettier than
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, the inside
that's
it's
right.
all about the inside, right?
It's all about the inside. And so this was great. And I really would recommend the book. She's got I love that the questions you ask, who you are and why you're here, how to find and attract and instill your passion and purpose. Those are all really good things. How to reconnect with yourself and others so you can build a happy, successful relationships. I
Mhm,
mean, these are all things we want, aren't they?
mhm,
How
mhm,
to move from a fear-based mindset.
mhm,
That is
mhm,
a huge one. And how
mhm.
to make each day and moment count. And obviously, Tina, that is what you are doing.
Yeah.
And you are being a light in the world.
Mm,
You are helping raise the consciousness of, I always say people like you and what we do, it's like the ants pulling each other across the pond.
mhm.
You help each other across the pond. And when we help one person, we're helping more people because it's that trickle effect, right?
Exactly. The fastest way to get out of your own way, out of depression or whatever, is just start serving. Do
Yeah.
something for somebody else, and you won't feel that way.
Yeah.
We only get that way because we're thinking too much about ourselves. And
Yeah. And if you're saying, woe is me, go down to Martha's Village and work in
exactly,
the soup kitchen and realize how truly blessed you are,
I
right?
agree.
You
Amen. Yeah.
know? So those of you that are watching, please support the center. There's a PayPal button there, and so that we can continue giving you our Sunday services, our different formats that we do Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock. And Tina, I know that you had that coaching, and I know that I feel truly blessed. I want to thank Jeff Harrison for
Yes.
arranging this. Jeff is he's our media guru here at the center, and we're that man is a genius.
Yes. Jeff's actually the one that started my YouTube show and podcast in December. So it's been
Yeah.
almost a year that I've been doing this. So
Wow.
thank you,
Wow.
Jeff.
And are you still, and now Tina has her own piece, her media person, right? Or you have like a staff now that helps you
I have
or
a social media team, yeah, that
yeah.
helps me because that's always changing, and then I'm adding an assistant and then probably a branding person. Yeah,
Wow.
you can only go so far by yourself, right?
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
gotta
Yeah.
keep
Well,
adding to the
it was
team.
interesting. And I would really recommend that Brian Breach one.
Right,
That
yeah,
was really, what an interesting story.
yeah,
And yeah, so I love what you're doing. So I take it your mom's made her transition then?
yeah, 2008. My dad was 1991, long time ago. I was only 28. My mom was 2008, but
Oh,
she comes
mhm.
to me all the time.
Yeah, I believe in that too.
Mhm, mhm.
I'd love to get some people because I do believe, we had James Von Prague at our center a year or so, or a few years back, and he said they're right here. They just step over the line and they're right with you always.
Oh, yeah, and, you call them to you. I've really gotten into angels and guides,
Yeah.
Doreen Virtue, I don't know if,
Yeah.
someone gave
Mhm.
me her cards, and every day, I pick a card, and I'll tell you,
There's a message.
of the time, it's the exact card that I need to hear. So,
Yep. No,
Yeah.
our angels are with us always.
Mhm.
And Tina, I want to thank you for being such an angel and
Aw,
being on the show. And I really appreciate you being here. And
my
everybody,
pleasure.
don't forget, next week I will have Michael Kukuru on, and you all know him from the center, and it'll be a lot of fun. So many blessings. Go look for that higher view because it's there and Spirit's guiding you there. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina.